What is up? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh. This is Native Nomads. Don't mind the beard. I'm going to Montana this weekend, so I feel like I just got to be extra grizz. But today we are going to talk about the new wheels I just put on the Outback Wilderness. I'm going to tell you which ones they are, what offset I went with, why I went with this brand, all the good stuff that you're probably here for. Should be good, should be exciting. Spoiler alert, it's not LP Adventure. Okay, so before we get started, I have to thank the sponsor of today's video and every video you will see here on the channel. That is Adventure Rig Shop. AdventureRigShop.com is where you can find just about everything you see on my Outback Wilderness, as well as just about anything you want for your Outback Wilderness. On that site, use the code NOMAD at checkout to save yourself 5%. Oh, I'm out of breath. Doesn't matter why. Okay, so the wheels, Sparco, Dakar, bronze. That's what I went with. I did not go with LP Adventure like I did on the last Outback. There are a few reasons why. None of them are that important, but one of the reasons is I wanted to try something different. So if you guys have been around for a long time, or maybe you're just new, this is your first video. If this is your first video, I appreciate you stopping by. Welcome to the channel. There's a lot of Subaru Outback Wilderness content here. There's also vans, just all kinds of stuff. I built a bunch of stuff. I put it on my YouTube channel. If you like it, stick around, subscribe to the channel, come along for all the adventures. But I went with LP Adventure in the past, and it's not that I didn't like LP Adventure, because they're really good. The wheels are great. They were rock solid. They did everything I intended them to do, but they are on the more expensive side of the spectrum for an Outback Wilderness wheel. I would say they're probably the most expensive, and then right below them would be Method. That's not the only reason I didn't go with them, but I wanted to try something different because I think everybody sees everyone have LP Adventure, and they think that's like the best wheel for the vehicle. And it's not that it's the best or the worst. It's just a really good wheel for the Subaru Outback Wilderness. I had the LP ones previously, and I had them in a plus 35 offset. Now, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on offset, but it is important for me to explain to you what offset means, because I asked this question myself several times. I was like having a hard time wrapping my head around it years ago. So offset, a plus offset, brings your tires in to the vehicle, okay? So plus means in towards the motor. Minus means out. So I guess a good way to understand this is if you have a plus 35 offset, they're 35 millimeters. The wheels, where the hub of the wheel is placed in comparison to the actual wheel itself. So the center, where that center is inside the wheel, okay? But generally what you can expect, I think this is an easier way to explain it, is if you have a plus offset, they're going to be tighter to the car. If you have a minus offset, they're going to be even further from the car, but it really has to do with the wheel itself, not so much the car, but the plus makes them come in, the minus pushes them out. So my plus 35 offset on my LP Adventures, they were, I'm pretty sure, factory specs for that car. So they were like perfectly in line where my traditional tires would be. It may have been a little bit different because I did have a little bit wider of a wheel, a little bit wider of a tire. But I wanted to go out. I wanted to go out a little bit this time. Because the one thing that I didn't like previously was I wanted a little bit more of an aggressive stance, and I knew that with the Sparco Dakars, Dakar, you could get that slightly more aggressive look. Also, they were on sale on Tire Rack. So for the record, I buy every single wheel I buy, and generally tires, depending upon if I'm buying the wheels and tires together, I buy them all on Tire Rack. Tire Rack does not pay me. Tire Rack, if you want to pay me, I will be happy to take your money and let you sponsor the channel. That would be great. But in the meantime, they don't pay me, but they are essentially like the Amazon of wheels. They're the Amazon of rims, and they're the Amazon of tires. I ordered them on a Sunday morning, well, Sunday afternoon, like noon. I had them Tuesday by 2 p.m. Now, granted, they're only in Indiana, and I'm in Ohio right now, so it was like pretty easy. But the fact of the matter is, they got here really, really quick. So I buy all my tires on Tire Rack, or my wheels and tires on TireRack.com. It's just they just have like a super easy platform. It's really nice to use. I would like to use a local company, but like you just can't beat their prices, and you can have them super quick. And if you buy the wheels with them, they can be mounted and balanced and ready to put on your car, and you could just unload them from the truck and put them literally right on your car if you have your car jacked up in your garage waiting for them to arrive. Now, I went with them for two reasons. They had the bronze look that I was going for. They're not as bronze as the LP Adventure, so they're more mauve. I don't know. Is that the right color? They're like less bronze. They're bronze, but they're not like a bronze. It doesn't make literally any sense whatsoever. But you're not going to be able to really tell in the video because I don't have a comparison of the LPs, but they're just less bronze, I guess is the way to put it. Whatever. We got to move on. So, but they have them they had them, and I don't know if they still have them, but they had them in a plus 20 millimeter offset, which means I could have that more aggressive look. They were on sale. I think I got all 4 wheels shipped to my house for like $850. And I already had the Nitto Nomad Grapplers in my garage from when Nitto sent those to me last year. And I threw them on, did a video, took some pictures, and took them off and put my BF Goodrich, the KO2s, back on the LP1s. So I had the tires already sitting here, and the car looks fantastic. It is definitely slightly more aggressive, and I am super stoked that I went with a more aggressive stance. Now, there's no issue, but with the LP1s at the plus 35 millimeter offset, there was no rubbing. Zero rubbing at full turn and flex and articulation and all that stuff. I never had any rubbing. But with the plus 20, you are going to have just the slightest bit of rubbing on the fender well, and it's just a small piece of plastic. What we did today is the guys from DNR, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned them yet, DNR Automotive. They're the ones in Ohio that do all of my work that I don't do myself, especially if you have a Subaru or you have a Lexus GX 460 and you're looking for somebody to do the work for you. Either you don't have time, you don't have money, or you don't have the will to do it. Slider, I mean, they'll do anything. And I didn't know they would do anything, so I kind of called them and said, hey, would you guys do some work on my Subaru? And Matt, the owner, was like, yeah, I've loved Subarus. I've had bunches of them. I just mostly do Toyota work, but I would love to work on Subarus. So if you're local and you're looking for the coolest dudes to do your work, Matt and Jared, J-Rod just sounds way cooler, from DNR Automotive in Columbus, Ohio. I will put that information below. Bring your car to them. Let them do all the work. But anyways, what we did is we heated up the wheel well with a heat gun and just kind of molded that plastic, because the way the plastic is on the inner fender, it's kind of ribbed. So there was just like one rib it was touching, so we just heated it up and pressed that in a little bit. And even if we wouldn't have done that, it would have caused absolutely no issue. It's just they're kind of, how do I say this nicely? OCD. I don't think that's a nice way to say it. I don't know if that's a nice way to say it at all. I don't know. But that's what they are about the vehicles that they build. So they wanted to make sure it was absolutely perfect when I left, and it is absolutely perfect. And it rides like a dream. No suspension work, which is, it's really hard for me to justify doing suspension. That's completely besides the point. I just love the way this car rides. Black Magic is like, she's just so smooth, and she's so incognito. Like, I just love it. I freaking love this car. But the 20 millimeter offset is nice. Now, the reason I went with these wheels versus getting a wheel that had a plus 35 offset and throwing a wheel spacer on, this is definitely a topic of debate, and I think this video has taken a hard left, and I apologize. But this is all really good information if you're building one of these yourself, or you're interested in building them and you're trying to figure out what wheels work. The Dakars from Sparco has a background in rally racing. I had no idea about that. So I started doing research and I figured that out, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this isn't just like a company who makes a wheel that'll fit this car. Like they have a background in rally racing wheels. So I was like, yeah, I'm in. I'm totally in. But I didn't want to have to put spacers on. The spacer debate is a very hot topic. A lot of people are just adamantly against spacers. Rightfully so. You've heard a lot of you've probably heard a lot of bad things about spacers. And there's two type of spacers. There's just a spacer, which is simply a disc that puts space between your current threaded, where you put the lug nut on, the threaded bolt. So it goes on there and just puts space. It creates space. It doesn't attach anything. It just goes over there. It goes underneath your bolts that come out of your hub. You throw it on, and you then tighten your wheel over top of that, and it creates space. That is the no-no spacer. Now, granted, I'm not like an engineer here. I'm just telling you my personal opinion. So take it for what it's worth. But that is a no-no spacer. And the reason for that is because it's just a piece of metal, aluminum, steel, whatever it is, that puts space between your rim and the vehicle. You tighten your lug nuts down, and that's it. If you're going to get a spacer, I would recommend one spacer that I have done a lot of research on, because I was considering getting a spacer for my wheels if I got a 35 millimeter offset wheel. And that is Perrine or Perrin. I don't know exactly how to say it. It's Perrin. I will put the link in the description for you to look at them. I don't have any affiliation with them. They just make a really good hub-centric spacer. And that's what you want to look for if you're going the spacer route. It's a hub-centric spacer. What that means is the spacer goes over the lug nuts, okay? You tighten that spacer to the lug nuts. It has small little bolts. You tighten all that down, and then you put your wheel on. So it's just the best way to go. I mean, I don't want to get too technical or go down another rabbit hole here, but if you're going to get spacers, get a hub-centric spacer. And there may be other people. If you have another spacer company that you know of, please put that in the comments. It's definitely helpful for people to get that information. I just know this one because I've done research on them. That's all I got. But I don't have to do that. But if you want to go, you have a certain wheel, they only make it in plus 35 millimeter or whatever offset, and you want to have them poke out a little bit, I promise you, you will not be upset, because they look so freaking good. They are absolutely fantastic. And the tires, I know we've talked about these before, but there's a lot of new people. And for the new people, I always use BFG KO2, but I have the Nitto Nomad Grappler on this car, and I will be rocking this tire until I need to get new tires, because I didn't have to buy them. Nitto sent them. That was super cool of them last year when they had this big launch of this new tire. And people were probably ask me, like, how does it compare to a Falcon Wild Peak? Or, I don't know. I've never had Falcon Wild Peaks, so I don't really know, but I know everyone loves them. So I have heard a lot of really great things about them. I'm generally a BFG KO2 person, and that's where I stay. But these tires are awesome, and they're like not nearly as aggressive or heavy as the KO2s, and they're just like a better all-terrain tire. I don't know, in my opinion. But the tires that came off are the Yokohama Geolanders. So I took them off and they're brand new, but you can tell by the side-by-side comparison, there's just an aggressive tread. There's a more aggressive tread and a more aggressive sidewall. So you're going to eliminate the opportunity for punctures. I know a lot of people have told me that they take their Geolanders far and wide. They never have had any issue. I have no reason to think that they're not telling me the truth. I would just prefer a more aggressive tire. Also, my tires are slightly larger than the Yokohama Geolanders. They are 245, 65, 17. So they are slightly taller, and they are about an 1.25, an inch and a quarter, bigger than the Yokohama Geolanders. Now, that does not mean you get 1.25 inches of additional ride height. You get roughly half of that. So you're going to get roughly half of the total difference of the tires, because the tire is circular. There's the top and the bottom, math. So I get probably, I'm going to say comfortably, I get an additional half inch of ground clearance just by switching the tires and switching the wheels and going to something a little bit bigger, which is absolutely awesome. So those are the tires I went with. I love them. They're great. The wheels, the color's going to have to grow on me a little bit in retrospect. I wish I would have went black. I just wanted some type of bronze. And these aren't like the bronze that you're thinking of, and you're probably looking at them or you've seen them, so you may know what I mean, but they're just slightly off a bit. But overall, the car looks fantastic. Will I keep them forever? I don't know. Maybe I'll get them painted, or maybe I'll just roll with it. I have not decided, but I just love the stance. I love the look. The wheel fits perfectly with the car. Just bronze isn't really very bronze. I guess that's the moral of the story. So I am leaving soon, like 3 days. I'm going to Montana, and I'm just going to go into the wilderness and with my wife and just hang out for like a week. So I will be back. There'll probably be a video next week. I'm not entirely sure. It depends on where I get in these next couple of days. But if you have any questions about this video or any other things that you may need help with, please leave those in the comments, and I will see you guys on the next one.